after the better. So, talking about some of the different stuff, my main focus usually, for the most part, is visual, whether it be photos. Most of my career, pretty much all my career, I was a graphic designer, video editor, so a lot of the stuff I focus on is photography and video. Specifically, one of the things we've been doing is we modify full spectrum camcorders, full spectrum cameras. I'm going to show you a few of those right now. There's also a few new EMF meters that just came out. Literally, this one I just got delivered to me this week, so I'll kind of show you that. And some lasers. I'll talk about that a little bit later. So basically, these are full spectrum. This is a full spectrum camcorder. Nice little handheld HD camcorder that we've modified for full spectrum. If you're not familiar with full spectrum, that is basically the ability of modifying the camera to accept infrared and ultraviolet light. If you look at the spectrum of light that's out there, we pretty much only see with our eyes, we only see about 40 to 50% of that, depending on your eyesight, of course. Beyond that, on one side is infrared, which is your typical night vision camcorder, like a Sony with night shot or whatever, has just the one side with infrared. Okay? But full spectrum has that side, plus you're also adding the ultraviolet on the other side. So I always say if you're going to go for a night vision camera, you might as well go with full spectrum because they're literally about the same price and you're getting a heck of a lot more light. If you're going with night shot with an infrared, you're kind of investigating with blinders on because you're still, even though you're seeing the UV, even though you're seeing the IR, you're not seeing the UV. So with a full spectrum, you get everything. This is a full spectrum, and again, just HD quality camcorders. With the camcorders that have been coming out lately, the HD is amazing. This is a higher end version of HD. It's got double the quality of this one. A lot more pro features, allows you to adjust the focus, adjust how much light is coming into the camera depending on your situation. If you need more or less light, you can really do, back in the day, cameras with these kind of features you had to put on your shoulder, and now I can put it in the palm of my hand. The important part about full spectrum, though, is that light to a camera is like fuel to a car. You got to have some kind of light. I get a lot of questions all the time. Say, hey, I got a full spectrum camcorder, but I'm not able to see in the dark. Well, you always need some kind of light. Even if you see the military, goggles and night vision goggles that the guys are wearing, they're all putting out some kind of light, whether it be infrared, whatever it might be, and they're amplifying that. So you can't just run with a camcorder with no light, and you're not going to get anything. So there's a whole different variations of lighting you can use. This one is just straight infrared. This one's brand new as well, and this one's a full spectrum. The full spectrum light puts out everything to take full advantage of the full spectrum camera. It's putting out everything, including ultraviolet light, IR light, and visible light. So you're getting everything to fill in that spectrum. The infrared here is good for the full spectrum, or your typical camcorders with night vision. This one's brand new. It's got a red lens on the front of that. The other one looks just like this, but this one's new because the red. Funny thing about this one is it's the exact same number of LEDs in it that you might have saw with the old Phantom. It's got more LEDs than a lot of the lights that are out there on the market. And this red, for whatever reason, I'm not even sure exactly how this thing is built, but this red lens that's on the front of this somehow diffuses the light out further. So you're pretty much, even though with the same number of LEDs, you're pretty much doubling the amount of light that's coming out, and it's getting diffused, it's getting spread out further. So a lot of your night vision cameras you probably see out there, you got this like small circle of light. You probably look in your camcorder, you probably usually see like a small circle of light that's really bright. This one's going to fill the whole room. So you don't have to worry about something coming in and it's dark, you can't tell what it is. Oh, all of a sudden it got right in the middle of that circle and you can see it great, and then it disappears again. Well, this is going to fill in the whole picture. Spirit boxes. Let me talk about spirit boxes real quick. I'm a big skeptic. Anybody who knows me knows that I'm a big skeptic. We were using this thing last time. Essentially what these things are, you've probably seen this, I know Zach on Ghost Adventures uses this thing a whole lot, along with the obelisk. Essentially what this does, you're going to use here. Essentially what it's doing, if you can see that, essentially what it's doing is it's going up and down the FM and AM frequency bands. It's basically just going real fast. Like you went in your car and you turned the radio knob, just went like that, all the way over to the right, and that's what you're getting. The combination of all those stations is giving you that white noise. So every once in a while you get a voice coming through there. Now, being the skeptic I am, I go, okay, well that's my local DJ. Anybody in Orlando? Oh, that's Jim Phillips. Or some radio ad coming through. But the thing you got to think about with this is that this is actually scanning bands that are not even being broadcast. So if you get something within like, the 60, 70 range or whatever that's not being broadcast, if you get something right there, that's not your local DJ, which has happened. If you happened on occasion where you've had, it's happened to us, where you get a response 3 times in a row. For me, if it's seemingly in response to a question, the first time I go, okay, that was random. The second time I go, okay, well that was coincidence. Then it happened to us a third time. That's when I kind of go, okay, well maybe there's something to this thing. So that's your typical spirit boxes. There's another version of this that is I have on pre-order right now. I'm getting them in next week. That is the Spirit Box plus a digital audio recorder. It's one of the highest, and it's almost the quality of like a Zoom. Very good quality recorder. It records down to 15 hertz, so below what you can hear. Take that with what you want. And it also tags audio. That's for me, that's the coolest part of this, because as we all know, you're sitting there listening to 8 hours of audio when you get back to your hotel room, you get back home, you're listening, I'm listening to 8 hours of somebody farting in the back corner. But what it does is it gets a baseline in the room, so you baseline it. And so it's baselining, it says, okay, I know that this hum, that's the baseline of what's in the room. As soon as it spikes, it hears something, it flags it. So as soon as you pull that file into your computer, if you want, you can just go through all the flags and listen to each of those little pieces that it flagged for you as a little spike, instead of listening to 8 hours of white noise. So that's a nice little feature to me. Also, it has like the EVP field processor that people have seen. It's kind of like your little equalizer. Has a little digital readout on it that shows you when you get a spike in audio. So it's kind of like just like the equalizer here. So it's going to have a little digital readout on the front of that, so that you can visually see when you're getting a spike as well. So you can visually see it, and it's going to tag it in the file. So that's to me, that's an awesome feature. So it's the Spirit Box recorder, all those cool features. You're supposed to be getting those in next week, right, Steph? Where's Steph? Oh, she's in the other room. By the way, talking about the other room, if you haven't seen our table in the other room, we got all kinds of this stuff. If you want any more information, or if you want to buy something, we bought some stuff. We didn't bring the whole store, but we have some stuff, and just let me know. Everybody familiar with the Trifield Meter? Pretty much. I'll just kind of... EMF meters. For the most part, there's natural EMF. That's what most people are... AC, like man-made EMF. That's what most people are using. That's the K2, the cell sensor. It's going to detect, if you put it up against your refrigerator, it's going to detect the refrigerator. If your cell phone goes off, it's going to, set off your K2, the walkies, that kind of thing. I always lean toward the natural meters. It's a Trifield Natural right here. It's kind of a little annoying little sound here. Basically what it does is this is the kind you just want to set down, don't touch, don't move it, because it's detecting, instead of man-made, it's detecting natural EMF that occurs. That's anything from geomagnetic pulls in the earth, vibration, things of that nature. It's also sensitive enough to where just put my hand over it. There's a lot of vibration in this room, but it usually goes off here. Can't really hear it. But what it's doing is it's usually sensitive enough that it's actually detecting like the blood rushing through your hand. Or in some cases, depending on your setting, what it's doing is it's kind of sensing the bounce back of whatever EMF, the magnetic and vibration that's coming into it. So this is a very sensitive meter if you actually calibrate it properly, which I just didn't. What you're supposed to do is you're supposed to set it down and then turn this little knob to calibrate. What it's doing is it's getting a baseline. So again, like I was saying earlier with the other audio recorder, is it's detecting the baseline. That's what that little sound when it was coming down. It's checking to see what the baseline is in the room, and then whenever you do something to it, it's just detecting a spike. So I'll move on from that over to the millimeters. There's a whole bunch of different versions of this, and Gary, who makes these things, is always coming up with new ideas. And people were asking me about this today. I literally just got this in like Wednesday. This is a brand new one. This is the one we supplied to Paranormal Challenge. They're using these things. That's what they give to both the teams and everything. And they've been getting a ton of stuff with this. I was told by someone that on an upcoming episode, Zach said that they got the best piece of evidence on this thing that he's ever seen. I don't know what that is, but I'm looking forward to see. So apparently when they're at the USS Hornet, take a look on that episode. Not sure what it is. Now, lasers. Everybody seen this guy? Yeah, everybody? They're great at parties. They really are. Lasers I've been working on. That was my thing. Like, I started working on those. The first PIA. Anybody who was at the first PIA does those? Yeah, I was working on the lasers way back then, and to me, it's really cool to see these being used as much as they are now, because they really do have a great purpose. I just want to see people use them for what they're intended for. The whole purpose of this is, you set it up in front of a camera, and if something moves in front of it, it's going to block out. It's going to block out the stars in this particular case. Now, the reason it's called a laser grid, and this is what I'm showing today. Has anybody seen my little teases on Facebook? I got a little product I've been working on. Mm-hmm. Can you hit the lights for me? Can you hit the lights for me? Now, when I started working on these lasers years ago, this was what I really wanted it to be. And it wasn't possible at the time. The whole purpose of that laser grid is if something goes in front of it, you'll be able to see it get blocked out. The laser will get blocked out or disrupted in some way. I originally wanted it to be lines. I called it a laser grid because it was originally supposed to be a grid of lines. Unfortunately, 6 years ago, I've been working on it that long, it wasn't possible at the time. And up until 3 months ago, I've been working with every manufacturer on the planet who said it wasn't possible. Well, guess what? I woke up one morning and I said, okay, what if I do this, do this, do this, and do this? And eureka, I put it together and it happened. So this is not as bright as, like I said, I wanted to unveil this. I'm just going to say it. I wanted to unveil this here at PIA this weekend, and I had a part that didn't come in. So this is a little prototype that I've been playing with. So it's not the real thing, and I don't have them here today, even though I wanted to. But this is what it's going to be.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. My handshake. All right. So this is what it was supposed to be originally. The whole purpose of this is that if something moves in front of this grid, it has multiple purposes. Let me see if I can set it up so that I can actually show. Oh, that's kind of hard. Can you set it up for me? Okay. Come up there, Shawn. There you go, Chris. Hold that for my hand. Shakes. And that's why I have a hard time working on these lasers, because it's just so small. So basically, the whole purpose of this laser, okay, is unlike the star grid, if something moves in front of it, it just disrupts the laser, right? Just like in this case, you see how it gets disrupted on the wall? Here's the plus side of this one. See how the lines are on my arm? See how they bow and how they bow? You can't do this with the stars. And this is what I wanted to do originally. What you can do, because of the way the lines are bowing on my arm, you can actually take the video frame by frame into a 3D program and actually draw a 3-dimensional model of what just went in front of the grid. Okay? I wish I could have done this 6 years ago. So you guys are seeing this for the first time. Okay? These are going to be showing up on the shows very soon here. And they're probably going to be, I hope they're popular. So again, that's the purpose of this thing. And I keep saying that again and again, but I just can't believe after all this time, like it's getting there. So I'm going to go ahead and pass it now over to Andrew. Andrew, who's going to talk some really cool audio stuff.
Thank you. I want to talk about one of our weapons of choice here at Southwest Florida Paranormal Investigations. Basically what we're looking at here is the idea of bringing studio quality audio to the investigation. All right? What we've got here is a condenser microphone, probably some of the most sensitive microphones that you can get your hands on. All right? What I do is I run that back into a 12-channel mixing board. The reason we have to have this is because it has to have phantom power. We've got to be able to power these microphones up. And this is a 12-channel mixer board. Right? Is a substitute for handheld recorders? Absolutely not. But the nice thing about this is I can cover the entire investigation area head to toe while we're in the house or if we're not in the house, and it constantly records. Basically what I'm doing with this is I've got a USB output off the mixer board. I can run it right into my computer. I can run it off of any audio software program, and at the same time I can dump it into a hard drive. As you can see on some of the graphics here, I've got quite a few scenes. The top one is actually a spectral analyzer. That way, if you hear an EVP, I can also pinpoint it, where it's coming from, so I can right away, I can go right into my audio program, I can clean things up. If you're outside, you got a lot of noise, like crickets and things like that, you can see where they're coming from, and you can go right into your audio program, and you can eliminate them. Pretty much this is, again, is pro audio quality. The only difference between us and Ozzy Osbourne is I'm not putting this through about 20,000 watts of power to speakers. Pretty much it goes right to a set of headphones. Everything's quiet. I can set it right up on the investigation site. And again, I can run up to 12 channels of microphones. And that's pretty much it. And we're going to turn the microphone over to John.
Hello, I'm John from Southeast Florida Paranormal. I'm a little unprepared for this today, so bear with me. To follow up on what he was talking about was the majority of your evidence is digital recorders, correct? Whenever you're done with your investigation, reviewing, you got a lot of orbs and bugs, stuff like that. It's a pretty neat picture. But whenever it comes down to evidence, most of your evidence is on your digital recorders. It's audio. Then they came out with an EM pump. What we found what the EM pump does for us is it's increased the number of EVPs we got, and it's also increased the quality of the EVPs that we get. And it also has helped us prevent battery drain on our devices. If you've been investigating for more than a week, everybody's had a device go dead on it. Whenever we use this device here, it's about non-existent whenever we use it. It's a simple device, it's a DC motor with earth magnets on it. When we first made them on Paratrack, they came out, they were loud, everybody called them the Paratrack vibrators. They were terrible. But, you know, it's trial and error. You know, it was a simple fix. It was something, we put foam in it, so now it's quiet. Anybody wants to know how to make them, the videos are up on YouTube. Or you can go to Ian's website, White Noise Forum, and they're up there. If you just want to buy one, let me know. I can sell you one. But simple device, easy. They make them AC, but we make ours DC because a lot of times when we go on investigations, you just kill the power in the whole place. So you're not sitting getting false readings on your meters. So we use all the handheld devices and use probably no AC power at all. It's all DC. So it's a plus.
And about how much DC can you put out kilograms?
This one right here, actually, depending on what you put, have your millimeter on. Oh, here's another thing. Don't put these things next to your equipment. Don't put it next to a camera that you really like a lot, or recorder. And it depends on how strong you make them. And another thing that I've discovered I can do with this is when we go to a private investigation, what I'll do is I'll put a battery in one of these and I'll hand it to my client and just ask, can you hold on to this for me? And go along and says, how long you want me to hold this? You know, it's making me feel bad. Telling me right away that they're sensitive to EMS. So it's another tool there. It's, oh, I'm sorry. And, you know, without knowing, they just gave me information I needed to know. They're hypersensitive to EMS. So a lot of the things that they tell me, I may have to, you know. Anyway, about how much it puts out. It depends on how many magnets you put on it. I found the lower that I use, the better, because a lot of people want more and more and more. But this one, like I said, just about buried the meter if I need to turn on. Put it on first. So I just blanked it on that one.
Wow, it's going up. It's over. Is
It's
that like 240,
250.
Wow.
And it's fluctuating too. It's not as steady, so you're getting a wave, so it's putting it out there. Like I said, they got the AC ones, but you need power, and then you're limited to where you can use the device. You got the, you know, I'm just a loss for words because whenever I was asked to make this by Roy, our founder, excuse me, our founder, I was clueless, and that's why we had the rattle boxes, and everybody likes to make fun of it. But again, if you want to know how to make them or buy one, just let me know.
Pass it over to
I happen to have one of the rattle boxes myself, and I've gotten the same response that you said you were getting, so I'm very interested in the new ones that you have out. Okay, a couple of things that I wanted to talk about is we're looking for, everybody wants to be able to see in the dark. Okay, now if you want to go online and purchase IR lights, there's a bunch of different things out there for them. Some of them are expensive, some of them aren't. We actually developed one of our own, little one here. Puts out a nice little even IR light. We actually are in the process now of making a spectrum light for the spectrum cameras. We want to be able to do all kinds. We can put UV lights in this. Beautiful little thing. It's battery operated. You also, when you're using this, a couple of things. One is you got a hook there, so you can actually hook it anywhere. We also have a magnet on the back. So if you're gonna, hook it up, hit it in a refrigerator. Boom. It's great for tripod stands. A lot of them, if you want an extra light, just hang it off the tripod stand. I just hang them low enough so it doesn't, the magnet's not next to the hard drive. Please. One of the things I do like about this one here is IR, but we also have regular flashlight here, so you can actually use it both ways. Click it once, it's off. Click it again, it's on. Off, and then you have the IRs. So, very, very easy, very nice to handle. We've had good results. We're actually putting out more of them. I'm going to be making more of these just because they're a lot easier to handle. Okay. Okay. Give me just one moment. Do you think we can actually do something with the audio?
No, I just don't know what kind of output you get on that. It's an amplified output.
Okay.
We should try.
All right. Basically, the other device that we have, and we've been doing great, and a couple of different groups are using these. Some of the groups have actually made them in the past. Great. Basically, I call it a sonic ear. 2 high density mics on them. Takes 3 AA batteries. Thing is fantastic. I could be in that ballroom, turn this thing on, and hear people on the other end in the rooms, going down the room corridor in this thing. Now, when I do it, I actually hook it up with a Y jack, so I'm listening to it and recording it all at the same time. It's great for EVPs. We found a lot of times that if we'll set it in a room to run constantly, we basically are going to try to slow down on that. We're using it for EVP sessions only, or if we're going to just sit in a room for quite a while. We placed it in the room and let it just sit there for a while, and we've come in and out, and we've actually introduced ourselves coming in and out of the room. But you hear us walking up to the room way before we get there. That's how sensitive these things are. So I mean, they're great. They pick up tremendously, but you have to play around with them and feel what you guys want to use with them, how you guys want to utilize it. We're still working on the kinks on that and how we can actually form this in with everything. But for EVP session, it's great. We did a library event, and Mans from Florida, Fire and Ice Paranormal had one there, and I loved it. I mean, we heard some good stuff and just kept going from there on. Basically, they're just little cases here. Kids, you just have to actually put them together. That's the hardest part. So if you're good with soldering, you can definitely put one together. If you're not, you're going to have a rough time. We did, about 3 weeks ago, we actually put our first one together. First of the month we did. And it took us about 3.5 hours to put one together. Right. Then I talked to one of my team members, and I'm like, oh, my son does that for a living. So now he has it down to 45 minutes. So it shows you what an experienced person can do and what an inexperienced person can do. And we burn fingers, so be careful. But it is fantastic. It's going to be up here. If somebody wants to come up and take a listen, fantastic. I mean, you could hear that. You could hear a pin dropping in. Seriously, I mean, it's that sensitive. But we're extremely pleased with them.
Where do you get those?
These are actually online. Yeah, GhostTop.com. Definitely GhostTop.com.
We gotta get this.
And we're actually, I've actually donated 4 of these. You're actually taking one of mine. So, because we weren't able to get them all done. So we got 3 that are actually put together, working, and we have 1 that's still in pieces. So when we actually do the raffle, if you are capable of soldering, please let me know, because if you don't mind, and then we'll leave the other ones for the ones that can't. But we are gonna, KBI has donated some of these for the raffle. But GhostTop.com, we're gonna start carrying them, and start carrying some of these too.
Sure.
There we go. Basically,
That's why I say I like to work with all these guys who are building this stuff, because if I can get it out to you guys, yeah, that's. I wanted to ask about,
Okay, we can try it in a minute.
is this your mic?
Yes.
Okay. Would you, I like how you explained this last year. Can you explain this mic real quick and what the difference is between that and, say, one of these?
The difference on these microphones, this is a dynamic microphone, it's a stage microphone. You pretty much got to be right in front of the microphone in order to hear your audio. These are condenser microphones. They still come in different patterns, but this is this will pretty much cover a perimeter. Again, the sensitivity, as you can see, I can adjust the gain controls. In other words, the sensitivity on these microphones through the mixer board. I can pick up your breathing from 20, 30 feet away with these microphones. Again, you don't want to resort to using a stage microphone unless you're going to put it right on the object that you want to monitor. These will cover perimeters. The frequency ranges on these are approximately 20 hertz to 20 kilohertz. Pretty much covers the full spectrum of human hearing and then some. But you really want to pay attention to the microphones you use, and that includes on your handheld recorders. My recommendation on handheld recorders, you get what you pay for, buy the best you can. Again, look for a lot of your pro-grade recorders, like what Scott was talking about with the Zoom. They are condenser microphones. Again, some of the best, most sensitive microphones that you can get. And more than likely, that's what Rich has got on these pieces right here. They are condenser microphones. That's why you're able to pick up audio. There is a downside to it. If you're on a investigation and you've got a lot of noise outside, forget it. You're going to pick up that noise. Again, if you run it through a mixer board, you can have the option of adjusting your audio gains down a little bit where you can try to control it a little bit. But, again, condenser microphones are the way to go. And again, you'll find them on your handheld recorders nowadays.
And as with that too, could you explain the difference between the waveforms and the
Yeah. I'm not going to stand up here and tell you I'm an EVP expert. Personally, I don't know that that's possible, but that's my opinion. But what I can tell you is I do know audio. All right? And if somebody's going to tell you they know audio, they're an audio expert, and they're looking at this screen, run away, because they don't know what they're talking about. This is a screen that you should be looking at. This is a spectral analyzer screen. This actually shows you the frequencies. With this screen right here, it's kind of hard to see up here, but more so on the computer. While I'm running live audio, I can actually see the EVP a lot of times before I can even hear it. Because I know where I'm looking. It tells you what frequency that all your audio comes in on frequencies. This view right here shows you your frequencies. The view I just had a second ago, that does nothing more than just shows you have audio, nothing more. It really does not give you any details at all. But again, this right here, when I'm going to start looking at audio and I want to start stripping it down, I want to hear if something is a true EVP or not, this is the view you better be looking at. This is the only view that you're going to be able to actually look at the frequency ranges.
And the cool thing with that is that you can, if you know the frequencies, if you speak into it, you can decipher what frequencies your voice is, all the voice, basically human voice in general. And then if you get a potential EVP that's outside of those frequencies, you know it's not you. You know it's not the baseline that you had taken earlier. You know it's something totally abnormal, out of the ordinary.
Exactly. Again, you'll actually, once you start getting used to the screen, you'll be able to see what is human voice. You'll see the patterns and what it looks like. When I've got an investigator that'll walk into a room, I can actually even tell what investigator, if I wasn't listening to it, I could actually tell you what investigator was in the room just by looking at the frequency, because everybody's got different frequency to your voice, and this will show you that. Again, if I'm looking at this screen, and typically most of your EVPs still come within a human voice range, but if I see just a little dot in there, and again, my microphones are running whether I've got investigators on scene or not. That's what's nice about this system. If you've got claims of audio, noise, whatever, up in an attic, basement, you can pretty much cover everything. Most of the time, 3 or 4 microphones will do a good average investigation. But again, I can see a lot of times if the house is quiet, if we're doing a house, and all of a sudden I've got just a little blip on the screen, that's going to catch my attention. And I can go right into it, I can hone in on it. And again, I can, not only is this showing me frequencies here, but I've also got a complete spectral analyzer that actually shows what range my voice is coming in on, also on the top screen.
So how about we take some questions? I know we talked about a lot of geeky stuff, and you know, even though we haven't talked about Star Wars yet, I probably will throw that in a little bit later. But who has questions? Anybody have questions for the geek panel? Yeah, what's up?
About the display up on the screen there, which audio program are you using? We walked in late. We didn't have
This particular one's Adobe Edition. If you've got Cool Edit, it's almost identical. Cool Edit usually runs a little cheaper, but Adobe Edition, I like it because I can actually, it gives me a few more things. If I start stripping down my audio, it gives me a lot more options and a lot more hardware to work with.
Now, a lot of the things I usually suggest to people, especially who are starting out, is I always say get Audacity because it's free. But it's not going to do this kind of stuff. It's going to allow you to cut, maybe do a little bit of cleanup, but clip it and save it off and send it off to your teammates. But you're not going to get anywhere near the level of analysis that you would with something like Audition. Somebody else?
About how much does that run?
Audition?
The Adobe Edition,
Basically.
best thing to do is check with it on the internet. You can find it all over the board, really. Sometimes it's like a $100 program, sometimes it varies.
Okay.
And also it depends on the add-ons you want to put into the program too.
Okay.
I've seen them go anywhere from $100 up to $500, depending on everything, if you want the full package.
Thank you.
In the back right there?
Are you setting up your condenser mics as wireless, or are you cabling them through your investigative side?
You cannot do wireless because, again, these have to run through a mixer board because you have to have phantom power. Phantom power, I'm actually shooting 48 volts through this cable to power these microphones. Wireless will not do that.
That's a good point with wireless in general. Even from audio, even with DVR cams, there's wireless DVR cams out there. Whenever you're doing anything wireless, it gets compressed. So your file is getting compressed, your video, your audio, everything's getting compressed. So whenever anything gets compressed, you're losing some kind of quality. So especially if you're going to go with something like, a high-end, one of these, the mics that he's got there, and then you're sending it out wirelessly, you're defeating the purpose of getting a high-quality recording at the beginning if you're going to compress it anyway. So I always say, wire whatever you can. If you need to go wireless, then you can kind of figure it out from there, but get as high bandwidth as we can.
Another reason that I don't go wireless is because Florida is flat, and you're also competing with microwave towers, cell phone towers, so wireless is really, it's an unstable system. You're going to pick up a lot of interference.
Question right here.
With that software, are you able to tell the difference between your team whispering? Like, so let's face it, we all do that habit and an actual EVP, or is that still really difficult?
Depends on how much they're whispering.
She wants to know when she can yell at Rich.
Not every time.
We can tell the things that we're breathing.
Again, if you know where your frequencies are coming in, say if you capture an EVP, you'll know what range to be looking for. So again, human voice always has the same basic pattern, so you should be able to distinguish it a little bit, but if they're really whispering, no.
Anybody else?
I didn't hear you touch on anything to do, because now smartphones are the way, people...
Don't do it.
Well, with the magnometers, okay? No, the magnometers. Magnometers. No, some of the technology that's in those phones now are very good. And we'll experiment from time to time just for fun. but we do get some interesting stuff off of them. Now, how far is a range in the magnometers that are built into these phones? Is there any of the applications that you've seen? Nothing.
Your little phone, I saw a few of them last night, people using them last night. The phone does not have any capability whatsoever to detect EMF or anything like that. It's, for the most part, it's randomly generating blips. It's randomly generating words, things of that nature. I mean, then again, just like with the spirit box, I'm a big skeptic, so I'm always going to preface with that it's software, that unless you're a developer and you can really dig into that software and you know how to crack it and figure it out, and figure out whether it's actually random or not, then I can't really answer that question fully without asking the guy who made the software and knowing whether he's telling the truth. But if you get in a situation just like with the spirit box, being a skeptic I am, you get responses to a question, and that keeps happening again and again. That's when you kind of got to go, okay, well, maybe there's something to this. But there's nothing in a phone that detects EMF. There's nothing in there that detects heat unless you're touching the pad or the screen. And there's nothing that, I guess it could maybe using the mic somehow to detect noise levels, but other than that, it's a game on the iTunes store. But again, like I said, if you happen to get responses to a question, something that you're actually validating, you ask your name and you get Bob, again, then you kind of have to go, okay, well, maybe there is some way they're interacting with this somehow. I haven't had that quite yet.
Well, basically, you're going more into the Obulus type applications. I know exactly what you're talking about there. But then there's the applications that are similar to like a K2 or the Mel meter. And I've compared them against each other, and they get very similar readings. So that's why I was.
I haven't. You mean it's just an EMF on your phone? I haven't seen that. But again, there's nothing on a phone that detects magnetism unless you're touching it. So.
Okay.
Unless there happens to be a new Evo, I don't know about. But every time I buy a phone, there's a new one right after it. So. Yeah. Any other questions? No? Everybody wants to go eat lunch, huh? All right, well, I appreciate you guys coming out. If you wanted more information from Rich, you can go to their website at KissimmyParanormal.com. If you want some more information from John, what's your website, John?
SoutheastFloridaParanormal.com.
SoutheastFloridaParanormal.com. And Ed, with Swift P, that's Swift P Online, right? SWFPIOnline.com. Lots of great people with all of these teams. Definitely be able to answer a lot of questions. Again, we have a table in the other room for Ghost Stop. If you have any questions on this equipment, if you want to get anything today, just let me know. Again, my website is ghoststop.com. Always have new stuff coming out all the time. So check it out. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.